and get us started. And what I have in front of me this morning is a cornucopia of summer fruit and vegetables. Um, and I have these here, and I'll keep pulling them up from time to time. But I think, when we think about a great time to start mindfulness or to continue to strengthen our mindfulness skills, I mean, the answer is always now. Now's a great time. And also, summer is such a wonderful time because of our access to things that fill our senses. So, most of you, I know not all of you, but most of you are located in the Pacific side of the United States. And it's summer. It's summer here. And what that means is there are more birds for us. There are more animals for us. There's more food, there's more flowers, there's more pollinators, there's more all of it. And it's just literally sometimes right out our window. If we're in an office, for me, I'm looking at bees right now buzzing around a hanging pot, and I've got a bird feeder on my window so that the birds can come and get seed. And I do that purposefully to be able to look and see and drop into that moment. And food is a wonderful way to do that. And summer is full of wonderful food for most of us that we can get access to it, sometimes right out our back door. So what am I talking about? Mindfulness, when we think about mindfulness at its essence, it's paying attention in the present moment without judgment, and doing it purposely, bringing our attention to something. And it can be a thought, it can be an emotion, it can be an impulse, and it can also be food or smell or sight. So just dropping in and bringing our attention to it and really noticing it. And so we all eat every day. And so there's multiple times per day that we can drop into having a mindful moment when we think, I don't have time for mindfulness. We do. We can do it right as we are doing something else, which is essential and vital to our survival, which is eating. So let's take this, for example, this tomato. We'll start here. So in a mindful moment, what I'm doing rather than eating, taking my tomato and dicing it up and doing what I'm doing, and all of the other multitasking things I'm doing, I just take the moment to be with the tomato. And what I mean by that is I might notice the skin of it. I'm noticing the color and the feel. I notice that there's a rough seam right here, and I can kind of run my fingers over that. I might notice the dried end of the blossom here and listen to its sound, right? That's just all the coolness of the tomato or the warmth if you've just picked it. Then, of course, you can slice it open, and there's a plethora of wonderfulness and mindful opportunities inside. There's different colors, there's different flavors, there's different textures, there's seeds and all that gelatinous wonder that is inside of a tomato. And that whole process can just be while you are eating it, while you are cutting it. It's not additional time. I think about a peach. This is like a whole world of mindfulness right here, right? The different colors, the fuzz, the taste of the peach as it's closer to the pit, as opposed to farther from the pit itself, if it's kind of cracked open and what that is inside. There's all sorts of ways that we can dive into mindfulness. And, like, don't even get me started on an onion. So that's my invitation to you. My challenge to you this week is to invite you to go have mindful moments with food. It's everywhere. You have access to it, whether it's store-bought or in your garden, or, brought over a zucchini brought to you by a friend who has far too many. Have a moment, create a moment. We're often looking for ways to do mindfulness, and instead what we can do is just simply create them in the life we're already living. And summer is a beautiful time for that. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and close our eyes. You can also take a soft gaze. Hear your breath as it moves through your body. Hear it as it enters your nose. Maybe there's a little rattle in your lungs or a clearing this morning. Hear it as it passes through your lips. One more big, deep breath, hearing that breath, and then returning to your normal breathing pattern. This morning, we're going to practice bringing our attention back to something. So you might take a moment and see what's calling you. Perhaps it's a thought. Perhaps it's a sensation, an emotion, a discomfort. And it might even be just something around you, a ring, an ear of corn, something that you are willing to place your attention on for a bit. This is your anchor. So to yourself, just identify that anchor is my belly as it breathes in and out. Anchor is the pen that I'm holding, feeling and looking at. Once you've got that, just drop your attention fully into it. Notice it on purpose. Notice the colors, notice the feel, notice the sensation, the warmth, the coolness, the thought, the details, the message, the feeling. Notice it on purpose. It's often helpful to kind of narrate this silently to yourself. Noticing. And as we're doing this work, what we might find is judgment or story creeps in. So I don't like this, or this is gross, or this doesn't smell good. This isn't okay to feel, to think. This is a good thought. This is a bad thought, right? Those are all judgments. And in our mindfulness practice, we're purposefully just noticing without the judgment. So, of course, it's going to creep in because that's part of what our brain does. And our job is to just notice it and instead go back to observation. Be your scientist of your own experience right now. Observe every detail. Moving into the experience. And you might find that your mind wanders or it's pulled. Something is dinging, clicking, noises are being made around you, there's distractions. This pen reminds you of this book, and that book reminds you of this passage, and that passage reminds you of this person, and the person reminds you of this time, and you're off and running far, far, far from your present experience. So as you notice yourself drift away from your anchor, just observe it as part of the process and bring your attention back. We don't have to judge ourselves or discipline ourselves or punish ourselves or criticize ourselves. We just go, my mind has wandered. Let me come back to my anchor. And we do it over and over again. And again, if you find that your mind has wandered, congratulate you for your humanity, and then just come back to your anchor. Sometimes to me, this reminds me of reps, like if I'm working out a muscle group and I do 10 sets and then I take a break. And then I do 10 more and then I take a break. Mindfulness can be that way. We really are training our brain. We're building new brain pathways. And in doing this type of work, we train our brain so that in the moment when you're triggered, in the moment when you're moving quickly towards reaction rather than responding, you have a brain that is trained to be able to go, whoa, let me place my attention on something right now that's important, like my breath, my access to resources, the result, my result. How do I want to be in this situation? We're training our brains. And the more that we do it, the more that we build it into our daily life, the practice, then we're prepared. Bring your attention away from your anchor now, onto your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Taking a moment before we close just to give yourself some gratitude for being here, for showing up. We think about the broadcast every Friday. We think, oh, it's just 15 minutes. It's easy. And it's just 15 minutes. I'll just skip it this week, right? You did it. You're here. When you're ready, bring your attention back. Thanks for being here, everyone. We had a tiny but mighty group today. Be well. Go eat something delicious.